warning. Tehran has said if Israel carries out any attack on Iranian nuclear installations, Iran will retaliate by targeting Israel's nuclear sites. We get you the complete story and decode the implications, especially after Iran said it has detailed intelligence related to Israel's nuclear sites. That's coming up in just a bit. And here's a look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. We get you the latest on the Russia-Ukraine war. Are the Russian attacks pushing the war closer to NATO borders? Can debt-ridden Pakistan afford higher defense budget? We tell you how the country's budget raises crucial questions and concerns. All this and more coming up. Iran has issued a stern warning. If Israel carries out any attack on Iranian nuclear installations, Tehran will retaliate by targeting Israel's nuclear sites. And this is not an empty threat. Iran has said it has detailed intelligence related to Israel's nuclear sites. According to reports in Iranian media, Iran's Supreme National Security Council has said that the country's intelligence services have secured large volume of strategic and sensitive documents related to Israel's nuclear infrastructure. The council reportedly said this information gives Iran the ability to launch an immediate and targeted response if any Israeli operation damages its nuclear assets. The statement states that Israeli nuclear sites will be potential targets in the event of any preemptive or hostile move. Further, it says that any aggressive act against Iran's military or economic infrastructure will trigger what it calls an accurate and proportional response. The head of the IRGC warned that with this newly acquired intel, Iran can now pinpoint the Israeli targets and hit them with precision. And besides Israel's nuclear capabilities, Iran has said it is also in possession of documents relating to Israel's military defenses and its international ties. Iran's intelligence minister has said that portions of these materials will soon be made public. Iran's statements do not come in isolation. Over the past 3 months, in fact, there have been multiple reports claiming that Israel is planning to launch an attack against Iran's nuclear sites. And last week itself, Israel reportedly told the White House it would not act against Iran's nuclear program unless ongoing nuclear negotiations collapse. Back in April, American reports claimed that Israel had been preparing for a possible strike on Iranian facilities, possibly in the month of May. But US President Donald Trump allegedly halted those plans, opting to continue diplomatic efforts. Uranium enrichment remains one of the sticking points. Washington and Tehran, in fact, continue to remain deeply divided over the issue of uranium enrichment. Trump has rejected the Iranian counter-proposal in the ongoing nuclear talks, calling it unacceptable. He has warned of severe consequences if Iran continues uranium enrichment. I'm quoting Trump here. The alternative is a very, very dire one. Now, so far, the two sides have completed 5 rounds of nuclear talks. Iran's foreign minister said a 6th round of talks is scheduled to take place this Sunday. And this comes following Trump's earlier announcement that the negotiations will take place on Thursday. Meanwhile, Iran's ally Russia has signed an agreement to construct 8 nuclear power plants in the country. As per reports, 4 out of 8 of these plants will be situated in southern Iran's Bushehr. Russia had, remember, helped Iran build its first nuclear reactor at Bushehr. Whether the next round of talks will lead to a breakthrough or remain at a stalemate situation, it's still a million-dollar question at this point, and we'll have to wait and watch for the answer. And we now shift our focus to get you the latest on the Russia-Ukraine war. What is Russia's strategy at this point? Moscow has zeroed in on western Ukraine with brutal precision. This time on target was a Ukrainian air base in Dubno, just 60 kilometers from Poland. Polish and allied aircraft securing Poland's airspace after Russia struck deep inside western Ukraine with dozens of drones and missiles. Our next report taking a closer look at how the Russian attacks are pushing the war closer to NATO borders.
In a thunderous night of terror, Russia unleashed a devastating barrage on a secret Ukrainian airbase, pulverizing a vital military airfield in the western part of Ukraine. The air, thick with the stench of explosives and the echoes of blasts, now hangs heavy with the grim reality of Moscow's unyielding vengeance. Moscow's strategic bombers, the formidable Tu-22M3 and Tu-95M, unleashed their payloads of destruction on Rivne, specifically targeting the Dubno airbase in a horrifying display of overwhelming firepower. Dubno is one of Ukraine's last operational airfields, located a mere 60 kilometers from the Polish border. Poland is one of Ukraine's closest allies and serves as a crucial logistics hub for Western military aid to Kyiv. Fearing the worst, Polish fighter jets took to the skies. NATO warplanes scrambled along Ukraine's volatile border, their presence a stark testament to the sheer scale of Russian aggression that simultaneously ravaged multiple Ukrainian cities. Russia's defense ministry declared this attack was a direct response to Kyiv's audacious attacks on Russian bases this month, asserting that all designated facilities had been annihilated. Yet the fury didn't end there. Another crucial Ukrainian military airport, Hostomel, also fell victim to Putin's relentless pursuit of retribution for the humiliating blows inflicted upon his forces. This isn't just a military operation. It's a brutal scorched earth campaign designed to cripple Ukraine's defensive capabilities and send an unmistakable message of unbridled power. The world watches as the conflict plunges deeper into a vortex of violence, each strike a stark reminder of the escalating human cost. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
In fact, Russia has launched its most intense drone and missile assault on Ukraine's capital in recent memory. Moscow fired 315 drones across Ukraine. 277 of them were shot down, but not before fires, explosions and chaos gripped Kiev. President Zelensky called it one of the largest assaults on the capital since the war started. 7 of Kiev's 10 districts were hit. High-rises, homes, cars, warehouses were engulfed in flames. Even Kiev's World Heritage Cathedral was damaged in the attacks. Loud explosions shook the city. Smoke clouded the skyline. And not just Kiev, the southern port city of Odessa was also struck. Odessa's maternity hospital and an emergency medical center were hit. 2 people were killed, at least 9 injured. What triggered this renewed escalation from Russia is the immediate question. Well, Ukraine's daring June 1 attacks on Russia. You see, Russia's renewed wave of aerial attacks follows Ukraine's cross-border raid that destroyed Russian strategic bombers at 5 air bases deep inside Russian territory. Moscow says these new strikes are retaliatory, in what many see as a calibrated response to what Moscow called Ukraine's terrorist actions. And Ukraine's Air Force confirmed that in addition to drones, Russia launched 2 KN-23 ballistic missiles, 5 Iskander-K cruise missiles. All of them were reportedly intercepted, but the damage from the Russian drone swarm alone was widespread. And in Kiev, emergency services battled blazes all night.
They are targeting civilians. They are fighting against us, against civilians. They don't fight in the open. Who are they killing? Children, women, and the elderly. Who are they killing? Who are they fighting? What else can be said?
Meanwhile, in Odessa, maternity patients were safely evacuated, but the building was left in ruins. According to Ukrainian officials, over the last 7 days, Russia has launched 1,451 drones, 78 missiles across the country. But Monday and Tuesday's assault might be just the beginning. In an interview to RT, Putin's aide and Russia's top negotiator Vladimir Medinsky was quoted issuing a chilling warning. He claimed Russian citizens are demanding harsher action, including missile strikes on Kiev and Lviv, using the feared Oreshnik IRBM. He said, and I'm quoting here, "Our citizens demand much harsher actions from us to strike Kiev and Lviv with Oreshnik. Enough negotiations," quote unquote. And he added that Ukraine's attacks on June 1 had made it difficult for Russian diplomats to even attend the peace talks in Istanbul that day. Remember, the Oreshnik is a ballistic missile variant of Russia's RS-26, and it was first fired in November 2024, weighing 40 tons, carrying 6 independent re-entry vehicles. It's nuclear capable and engineered for devastation. Now, just pay attention to the parts that Medinsky referenced. Kiev, central Ukraine; Lviv, far west, right on the border with NATO member Poland. And the question is Medinsky's statement just war rhetoric? Or is Russia warning that the battlefield could expand towards NATO's doorstep? 3 years into the war, peace talks that had started a few weeks ago now feel further than ever. Ukraine's strikes have rattled the Kremlin. Russia's response has scorched Ukrainian cities. And if these devastating attacks on Ukraine are not enough, the threat of Oreshnik attacks loom large on Ukraine. Shifting focus for now to Pakistan. The country's budget appears to indicate a recovery on paper, but a comparison of the economic survey and the latest budget with previous report indicating a more nuanced and less optimistic picture. Pakistan, in fact, lowered its overall budget for 2025 to 26, but hiked defense spending by 20%. This comes as the country's total public debt reached 76 trillion Pakistani rupees, around $269 billion. The hike in defense outlay comes even as Pakistan remains debt-ridden and the country faces economic instability and high inflation. The economic survey pegged growth at 4.2% for next year, compared to 2.7% this fiscal. Those upbeat predictions still show Pakistan's growth lagging. According to the Asian Development Bank, growth in South Asian countries averaged 5.8% last year and is predicted to expand an average 6% in 2025. The economic survey pegged growth at 4.2% for next year, compared to 2.7% this fiscal. And those upbeat predictions still showing Pakistan's growth lagging. Not too long ago, the country was confronted with a financial crisis, including low foreign reserves and large current account deficits. And despite these challenges, the agricultural sector had done rather well, expanding by more than 6% on the back of record wheat and cotton crops in 2023 to 24. But agriculture output has slowed sharply to just 0.56% in the current fiscal. Major crops like wheat and cotton saw big drops due to water shortages. And economists say these fundamental macro issues tend to form vicious economic cycles, weighing on food supply, hitting imports and forex reserves eventually. The underperformance of the industrial and service sectors continuing to be a real drag due to high borrowing costs and inconsistent policies as well. And with the IMF urging Pakistan to widen the tax base through reforms, which include taxing agriculture, retail, real estate, those sectors are expected to underperform further. So the country's attempt at a fine balancing act of fiscal prudence to adhere to IMF's conditions and increase defense spending once again leaves behind several crucial questions. The economic survey and the budget do not specify how Pakistan's problems will address how this will actually address the structural problems in the country. For example, how will Pakistan address rising energy circular debt, poor development at the provincial level, ongoing debt repayments, including huge interest payouts? Meanwhile, ordinary citizens still face a poverty crisis, surge in food inflation, job shortages, a faltering rupee. Under the World Bank's new threshold, Pakistan's poverty rate has surged to 44.7%, up from 39.8%. Pakistan's extreme poverty rate has jumped from 4.9% to 16.5%. Meanwhile, new World Bank numbers placing 88.4% of Pakistan's population below the $8.30 a day upper middle income line, highlighting widespread economic vulnerability and the urgent need for resilience building policies. And those dire numbers are based on outdated 2018 to 19 household income and expenditure survey data. This means recent shocks like COVID-19, the 2022 floods, which hit 1/4 of the country, are not yet reflected in the new figures. And before we go on any further, here's a quick look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. We tell you how and why the Russian president is expanding the Russian Navy. It's a massive modernization plan. We get you the significance of the move. 10 people have been killed after a shooting in a school in Austria. We get to the complete story and the latest. As a heat wave grips North India, is there any respite in store for the people? Protests against immigration crackdown have now spread across the United States as streets of Los Angeles become the ground zero for the demonstrations. US President saying Los Angeles would have burned to the ground if he did not act. And this comes as a power play is playing out between the California governor and the American president. California governor accused Trump of authoritarianism. As protests escalate, President Trump has doubled down on troop deployment. Donald Trump has in fact ordered 2,000 more National Guards to be deployed in Los Angeles. Along with this, he has also called in 700 Marine personnel, often referred to as America's elite fighting force. Trump says his deployment of Marines and other soldiers to Los Angeles is preventing the city from burning to the ground. And earlier today, protesters and police came face to face in Santa Ana area of southeast of Los Angeles, where sounds of flash bangs, firecrackers were heard exploding in the distance. Security forces dispersed the protesters using rubber bullets and armored vehicles in downtown Los Angeles. These demonstrators had gathered outside a federal detention center in downtown where immigrants have been held. And the National Guard forces had formed a human barricade to keep the people out of the building. Later, personnel moved up the street, starting to push people from the scene and firing less lethal munitions such as gas canisters.
Families apart without proper due process. It is corruption. For them to sit here and act like from us.
假的枪正在假装向人群中射击。
And earlier, protesters fired fireworks as they clashed with the police. Others banged on the sides of unmarked vehicles as they passed through police containment lines. There were also scenes of levity as some protesters danced to a band playing music from a truck on the street. Immigration crackdown and the protests that began in Los Angeles first spread within California to San Francisco and capital Sacramento. But now they are being reported from California to New York. In Texas, protests were reported in Austin, Houston, other parts as well. People also took to the streets in Philadelphia, Boston, Chicago. Let's now get to these visuals from Texas, where protests were reported in two major parts, Dallas and Austin. Multiple people were detained after a street showdown with the police officers. And as the tensions rise, California governor has come down heavily on the US president, slamming the move as deranged and un-American. In a social media post, he wrote, US Marines should not be deployed on American soil, facing their own countrymen to fulfill the deranged fantasy of a dictatorial president. And when asked earlier about the governor's assertions that he wanted to start a civil war, President Trump hit back at the governor.
You want a civil war on the streets of America.
No, that's just the opposite. I don't want a civil war. A civil war would happen if you left it to people like him. And I liked him. You know, I always got along with him. Never had a problem with him. But he's grossly incompetent.
Let's just tell you, this is the first time since 1965 that a US president has sent National Guard troops to a US city without a governor's approval, and the move sparked a political tug-of-war between Democrats and Republicans. Moving on for now, India is advancing its military arsenal with a new wave of cutting-edge weaponry and technology. From missile systems to artificial intelligence-powered firearms, the country is reinforcing its defense preparedness across multiple fronts. The Ministry of Defense is considering a 30,000 crore rupee proposal to procure 3 regiments of the indigenously developed quick reaction surface-to-air missile systems. These units are designed to neutralize enemy aircraft, helicopters, drones within a range of 25 to 30 kilometers. The Defense Acquisition Council will likely review the proposal at its meeting scheduled for later this month. Developed by DRDO, these mobile missile systems are capable of tracking and engaging targets while on the move. They have also been evaluated during trials conducted in both day and night conditions. It is expected to strengthen air defense coverage along India's western and northern borders and also complement the existing systems like Akash. And in a parallel development, the Indian Army has successfully tested an AI-integrated light machine gun at altitudes nearing 14,000 feet. Jointly trialed with a defense manufacturer, the weapon reportedly demonstrated the ability to autonomously identify and engage targets, an important capability for high combat operations in mountainous terrain. The system's artificial intelligence is reportedly also compatible with other platforms, including anti-drone technologies. Media reports saying the Indian Air Force is set to receive the advanced A1 version of the HAL Tejas fighter jet later this month. These fighter jets will come equipped with Israeli technology, reportedly manufactured domestically in partnership with Indian firms. In alignment with the government's Make in India initiative, which promotes local production of military equipment, the upgraded Tejas jets will reportedly feature enhanced radar capabilities and will be armed with Rafale's radar-guided Devi missiles. And these additions are expected to significantly boost the aircraft's air-to-air combat performance. India is also enhancing and sharing its weaponry with allies. From 2014 to 2024, India's defense exports soared by over 1,100%. India's military modernization is clearly accelerating, aimed at enhancing national security and operational readiness. China's suspension of key heat-resistant magnets made with rare earth minerals amid the ongoing trade tensions with America reportedly disrupted the defense supply chain in the US and other Western countries at a time when they are reportedly scrambling to replenish stocks of advanced weaponry equipment recently thinned out by shipments to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. And at the center of the issue is a rare earth metal called samarium. It is used almost entirely for military applications and allows magnets to endure extreme heat without losing strength. These magnets are vital for electric motors found in missiles, fighter jets, smart bombs. Right now, China is reportedly the world's sole producer of samarium. Back in April, Beijing cut off exports of 7 rare earth elements, including samarium, and China said that the restrictions are steps taken to protect national security and comply with international rules on non-proliferation. For the US defense sector, the fallout is set to be immediate. Lockheed Martin, the primary American buyer of samarium, reportedly uses around 50 pounds of these magnets in every F-35 fighter jet. And the United States has no domestic supply, despite recognizing the risk years ago. America has failed to build an alternative source. The Biden administration had approved contracts for 2 domestic samarium facilities, but neither was constructed due to commercial hesitations. And as a result, American forces now rely entirely on China for this crucial material. Trade talks between US and Chinese officials are currently underway in London, with restoring rare earth exports reportedly high on Washington's list. But experts expect China to maintain its rare earth minerals control, if not tighten it further. Unlike other rare earths, samarium is uniquely military in its use. China's export halt has exposed a critical gap in American and Western military readiness. Unless China resumes its supply or an alternative emerges, the ability of the US and Western countries to produce cutting-edge weaponry could slow down dramatically. Vladimir Putin is steering Russia's navy into a new era of power. A staggering $100 billion modernization plan is underway, arming fleets with cutting-edge ships, submarines, and missiles. This is more than just defense. It's a declaration, in a way, that Russia is reclaiming its sea dominance.
While Russian army is marching ahead in Ukraine, its air force is dominating the sky. But the Russian Navy has been found sluggish in the war. Now Moscow is embarking on a bold new plan. President Putin has unleashed a colossal multi-billion-dollar initiative to transform Russia's navy into an unparalleled force. This is not merely an upgrade, it's a defiant roar across the global oceans. A strategic move to reshape naval power and cement Russia's dominance in high seas. This aggressive naval expansion incorporates hard-won lessons from the ongoing brutal conflicts in Ukraine, where Russia's Black Sea Fleet has suffered significant, humiliating losses to Ukrainian drone and missile strikes. Far from being deterred, Moscow is now doubling down, investing heavily in state-of-the-art warships, strategic nuclear submarines, and cutting-edge hypersonic weaponry like the Zircon missiles. The strategy explicitly labels NATO as a primary threat, underscoring a clear intent to strengthen the Arctic and Pacific fleets, igniting fears of a new era of naval confrontation. This comes at a time when several NATO nations, including the UK and Germany, announced expansion plans for their navies. In Moscow's eyes, this is not military vanity, tit for tat. It's a strategic necessity. With tensions flaring in the Arctic, Black Sea and Pacific, Russia needs a fleet that can challenge Western sea denial efforts, protect littoral zones, and project power internationally. Putin's stated goal: by 2050, Russia should match or dwarf any European navy and stand up to the American presence in global maritime corridors. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Ten people have been killed after a suspected shooter opened fire at a school in Austria. The shooter is among those killed, reportedly. The Austrian Chancellor has declared 3 days of national mourning following the attack, which was reportedly carried out by a former student of the school.
During 3 days of national mourning, the whole of Austria will remember the victims of this tragedy. The Austrian flag will be flown at half-mast on all public buildings, and tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. A minute's silence will be observed across the country in silent remembrance of the victims of this terrible act.
According to the police, the 21-year-old attacker killed himself. The officials said that they were working on the assumption that the attacker had operated alone and his motive remains unknown. The police added that the area where the shooting took place had been secured and relatives of the victims and students are taken care of.
The situation has now been secured to the extent that there is no longer any danger to the rest of the population, but we do have several fatalities.
These are images of the police and ambulances near the school in southeastern Austria where the spine-chilling incident took place. And following the incident, condolences poured in from across Europe. EU top diplomat declared herself deeply shocked by reports of the shooting. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said, and I'm quoting, "The news touches my heart." Listen in.
Der Tod unschuldiger Kinder.
Schools are symbols of hope for the future and for young people. It is incredibly difficult to bear when schools become places of violence and death. I mourn with Austria today.
Bei den Verletzten und ihren Freunden und Angehörigen.
This is not the first time such an incident has taken place. In fact, in February this year, a stabbing incident left a teenager dead, injured 5 others in southern Austria. According to Austria's interior minister, the suspect, a 23-year-old Syrian asylum seeker, had been radicalized online in a short span of time. In October last year, a mayor was shot dead along with another person in an apparent dispute over hunting rights. The suspect was a 56-year-old man. In another such incident, in November 2020, a 20-year-old gunman described by Austrian authorities as an Islamist terrorist killed 4 people and injured more than 20 others. Ships of the Indian Coast Guard are out there at the sea off Kerala battling a deadly blaze on a cargo ship. And this is just another day at work for India's Sentinels of the Sea. From search and rescue to protecting the marine environment and enforcing law at sea, the Coast Guard is the true protector of Indian waters. Over the last 36 hours, this cargo ship has been on fire. Shipping containers are exploding. Its crew abandoned the ship. The blaze is raging and the ship is adrift. The Singapore-flagged container ship is off the coast of Kerala. For more than 24 hours, a massive rescue effort and firefighting operation is underway. Working together, the Indian Coast Guard and Indian Navy have rescued 18 of 22 crew. 4 crew members are missing. Efforts are on to locate them. Meanwhile, Coast Guard and Navy ships are using their onboard equipment to spray massive quantities of water to control the blaze. In India's exclusive economic zone, the Indian Coast Guard maintains a strict visual while also saving lives. Exclusive economic zone is the region that extends 370 kilometers from a country's shores. India's exclusive economic zone spans more than 2 million square kilometers. Every single day, the Indian Coast Guard deploys up to 60 ships and 12 aircraft to monitor and protect India's vast maritime domain. Beyond this, the Coast Guard provides search and rescue in a region spanning 4.6 million square kilometers. From protecting marine life to combating oil and chemical spills at sea to curbing drug smuggling, the Indian Coast Guard plays a vital role, to say the least. At present, the Indian Coast Guard has a fleet of over 150 ships and more than 70 aircraft. WION's principal correspondent, Siddharth MP, summarizes for you the highlights of the Indian Coast Guard's efforts over the last more than 40 hours.
Over the last 5 decades, the Indian Coast Guard has saved more than 11,700 lives at sea. This includes mariners, fishermen, and those in distress at sea. Further, the Indian Coast Guard also undertakes anti-narcotics operations, and they have seized more than 50,000 crores worth of contraband over the years. The Indian Coast Guard also plays a crucial benign role in protecting marine life. In this year alone, they helped in the nesting of more than 7 lakh olive ridley turtles off India's coast. Let's also remember that the Indian Coast Guard is a force that is rapidly expanding. By the end of this decade, the force hopes to have at least 200 ships and 100 aircraft to protect India's exclusive economic zone and interests in the exclusive economic zone. From Chennai, Siddharth MP, WION, World is One.
Shubhanshu Shukla is on the cusp of becoming a household name, if not one already. Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla is set to become the first Indian astronaut in over 4 decades to travel to space after Rakesh Sharma's historic 1984 spaceflight. The mission underscores India's bold ambition to lead in global space exploration. Selected under the Indian Space Research Organization's Human Spaceflight Program, Shubhanshu Shukla will serve as mission pilot for Axiom Mission 4 to the International Space Station, launching aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 on June 11. The countdown is on. The commander is NASA's astronaut Peggy Whitson. Apart from Shubhanshu Shukla, there are other astronauts. One is from Poland, one from Hungary, and this is a huge milestone in India's space journey. Shukla's role as part of the mission also highlighting India's growing prominence in the global space community, focusing on operational readiness, microgravity adaptation, advanced scientific experiments in space biology and life support systems. In fact, his work will include pioneering studies on edible microalgae to explore their growths under microgravity and space radiation. Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla was handpicked as one of the 4 astronauts for the Indian Space Research Organization's historic Gaganyaan mission. India's Gaganyaan program is India's flagship initiative for indigenous human spaceflight. It aims to develop and validate technologies for safe crewed missions. On February 27, 2024, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi had announced Shukla as one of the elite astronauts undergoing intensive training for India's maiden human spaceflight mission, Gaganyaan. And in August 2024, Shubhanshu Shukla was selected as the prime astronaut for the upcoming mission to the International Space Station. Born on October 10, 1985 in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, his journey started when he was commissioned into the Indian Air Force Fighter Wing in June 2006. His ascent to the rank of Group Captain in March 2024 reflects his exceptional contributions, to say the least. He is now geared up to pilot that historic mission to the International Space Station. India's space sector has experienced significant growth and achievements over the past year, marking a new era of innovation and exploration. Shubhanshu Shukla is carrying over 1 billion dreams, and India is waiting with bated breath as he takes that giant leap into space. We now get to the latest from the United States on its crackdown on alleged smuggling of bioweapons into America. A third Chinese national has been accused of smuggling biological materials into the US for work at a University of Michigan laboratory. What else is known? Cheng Xuan Han has been charged with smuggling goods into the US and making false statements. On June 3rd, a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Michigan and her boyfriend were charged with conspiracy, smuggling goods into America, false statements, and visa fraud. Yung King was taken into custody by the FBI on June 3rd, while Zunyong Liu departed the US and returned to China. Accusing the Chinese Communist Party of working relentlessly to undermine America's research institutions, the FBI Director Kash Patel said the case is part of a broader effort from the FBI and the federal agencies to heavily crack down on similar pathogen smuggling operations. Pursuing a PhD at Huazhong University in Wuhan, the arrested Chinese national Cheng Xuan Han allegedly sent 4 packages from China to the US between 2024 and 2025. The packages contained concealed biological materials and were addressed to individuals affiliated with a lab at a Michigan university. Authorities say Cheng Xuan made false statements regarding the shipment of those packages and the biological materials that they contained. Further, the federal agencies claim that content was deleted from an electronic device just 3 days before Cheng Xuan's arrival in the United States. As per the statement by U.S. Attorney's Office, Eastern District of Michigan, Cheng Xuan admitted to making false statements during inspection by Customs and Border Protection officers. In the follow-up inspection on the 8th of June, the Chinese national allegedly admitted that packages sent contained biological material linked to roundworms. Shifting focus now to India. The country is in the grip of a brutal heat wave. Red alerts have been issued for Delhi and parts of Rajasthan as temperatures soar well above normal, disrupting daily life and triggering health concerns. In one part of Rajasthan, the mercury hit a staggering 46.6 degrees Celsius, the highest temperature in the country today. In Delhi, the first heat wave of the season was officially recorded on Monday, with temperatures nearing 45 degrees Celsius mark in several parts, but it felt even hotter than that because of the heat index, which factors in humidity. So the real field temperature was pushed to unbearable levels. According to India's weather department, a heat wave has been declared when plains exceed 40 degrees Celsius. In the hill regions, the threshold is 30 degrees Celsius.
It's extremely hot. My whole body feels like it's burning. It's been unbearably hot for the past 2-3 days.
When we step outside, we face all kinds of weather. Cold, rain, heat. We're used to it. But for those who stay in air-conditioned rooms, it's a bit tougher to handle.
Warnings have now been issued for the coming days across North India, including Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, and the National Capital Region. In Uttar Pradesh, the scorching heat is stretching infrastructure thin. Power grids are buckling under surging electricity demand.
The heat really pinches you on your skin. It's not the regular kind of a heat that you can sustain. It's the kind of a heat that irritates you in a way.
What we can personally do is we can drink more water, we can plant more trees so that one can have more oxygen. Then one can also wear clothes that gives cooling effect.
And it raises health concerns as well. Prolonged exposure can quickly lead to heat stroke and even death, as the country's health infrastructure struggles to cope, especially for the poor, outdoor workers, children, the elderly.
This time there is so much of heat, no rain, nothing is there, no political issues are so many. We are suffering so much of things when we come from home to college for studies.
So we are experiencing scorching heat, and I am a student and I travel by bus, so it has become very difficult to travel to college, so this is hampering my studies as well.
And according to the Indian Meteorological Department, the heatwave conditions are expected to persist for the next 4 days. The IMD has issued a public advisory urging people to wear light, breathable clothing, cover their heads, or use umbrellas when outdoors. Stay hydrated, even if not thirsty. In red alert zones, the warning is more severe. Extreme care is advised to avoid heat-related illness or exhaustion. And staying on with India, in a major boost to pilgrim safety and security, Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor has inaugurated a cutting-edge CCTV surveillance system at the Sri Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine. The system comes with an integrated command and control center located at Katra and backed by 7 sub-control centers along the pilgrimage route. The setup ensures real-time monitoring, 24/7 surveillance of high traffic and vulnerable zones, and enables swift response to any crowd build-up, security breach, or medical emergency. So what else makes this system special? It is powered by AI-based analytics. It includes facial recognition, gesture detection, automatic number plate recognition, intrusion detection, crowd management tools. Over 700 cameras have been deployed, including 170 new HD cameras and the integration of over 500 existing ones, covering all critical points across the shrine. The Lieutenant Governor has said the technology would ensure a smooth as well as safe pilgrimage experience, enhancing crowd control and operational efficiency. The CEO of the Shrine Board demonstrated how the command center can generate automated alerts for crowd congestion, route blockages, landslides, or emergencies, allowing for quick decisions and action. The Lieutenant Governor also interacted with the on-ground engineers and staff, stressing on the need for regular training and coordination with security forces for maximum effectiveness. And as part of broader security upgrades, The Shrine Board has also provided X-ray baggage scanners, door frame and handheld metal detectors, under-vehicle scanners. These were part of recommendations from a joint security review conducted last year. The use of AI technology marks a big step in using smart technology for religious tourism safety in India. With this integrated system, Vaishno Devi is not just a spiritual destination, but now one of the most secure pilgrimage sites in the country. Former India captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni has been inducted into the ICC Hall of Fame. He is one of the 7 cricketers who have been recognized for their contribution to the sport by the global cricket body. Dhoni's international career spanned 14 illustrious years. Debuting as a flamboyant wicketkeeper with long hair, he evolved in one of the sharpest minds in world cricket. Dhoni remains the only captain to win all 3 ICC white ball trophies: the 50-over World Cup, the T20 World Cup, and the Champions Trophy. And under his leadership, India also rose to number 1 in the ICC Test rankings in the late 2000s. Individually, Dhoni played 350 ODIs, 90 Test matches, 98 T20Is for India, scoring over 17,000 international runs. And behind the stumps, he was a phenomenon with 829 dismissals to his name. The other inductees into the ICC Hall of Fame, including Australian legend and 2-time ODI World Cup winner Matthew Hayden. In a career spanning 16 years, Hayden represented Australia in 273 matches across formats and scored over 15,000 runs. South African duo Hashim Amla and Graham Smith have also been inducted, and with his elegant cover drives and trademark leg side flicks, Amla dominated bowling attacks for much of his 15-year career. Smith, meanwhile, represented South Africa in 347 matches across formats, scoring over 17,000 international runs. He was also one of the most successful Test captains in history. Former New Zealand captain Daniel Vettori also making it to the list. One of the finest all-rounders in cricket, Vettori is among the few to score 4,000 runs and take 300 wickets in Test cricket. He also led New Zealand to the final of the ICC Champions Trophy in 2009. Former Pakistan captain Sana Mir has become the first woman cricketer from the country to be inducted into the ICC Hall of Fame. The former off-spinner, who represented Pakistan for around 15 years, is the 8th Pakistani cricketer to make the list. And the last name on the list is former England women's wicketkeeper batter Sarah Taylor. Taylor played a major role in helping England win the double of the ICC Women's Cricket World Cup and ICC Women's T20 World Cup in 2009. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching. We're leaving you with Gravitas Worldview.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
Hello there, welcome back to WION The World is One. We are glad you're watching. Thank you for staying with us. Time now for Pulse. I'm Eric Njoka. Our top stories.
So in Los Angeles, we believe that ICE, which is a federal law enforcement agency, has the right to safely conduct operations in any state and any jurisdiction in the country.
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth faces sharp questions from Congress on the cost of deployment